Crossed over, took flight, tell the cameraman zoom in. I put you up on game, it's the podcast, tune in. Tune in, tune in, it's the A-Sleep podcast, better tune in. Crossed over, took flight, tell the cameraman zoom in. I put you up on game, it's the podcast, tune in. Tune in.
All right, welcome to the A-Sleep podcast. This is the director, Will Lee, in the building. I got my man, UCF, former UCF star, and Orlando Magic shooting guard, right?
That's right.
Mark Jones in the building. I got my man, Coach Carter, you know what I'm saying, in the building. We're going to be talking sports today. We're going to get right to it. We got a lot of different topics. You know me, I like to get into the meat and potatoes thing. So what we're going to talk about first is we're going to talk about that man, Kyrie Irving. My God, man. Y'all share your thoughts, man. What do y'all think? Kyrie Irving, is that a legit apology? Did he show professionalism? What's up? What did he do?
That's tricky because Kyrie is such a dynamic basketball player. To leave his team for that long, that was tough. I'm happy he's back, being a fan of the game. But as a teammate of his, you're like, man, where you been? So I guess he was going through some personal things. But I'm definitely happy that he's back on the court with his team. And I think a little bit of that had to do with Harden coming on board too. Mm-hmm. You got James Harden coming on board. They looking good.
So what?
You chilling at the crib, you like, oh man, hold on.
Also, you taking it from a different angle.
Exactly.
You thinking, because a lot of people been out here saying like, oh, he was sitting out there and this was all a part of a master plan to get James Harden on the team. But you're more so saying like, now he want to come back because he don't want to lose all his shine.
I think he wants to be part of the show. You got a squad now. You got KD. James is balling. They just beat the Bucks, was the number one team in the East right now. And you watching that and you like, hold on, I'm the PG of this team. Next thing you know, what? A day later, 2 days later, Kyrie was back. So I'm not faulting him, but I think that probably had a little bit to do with it as well.
It's a little bit to do. You got some thoughts on that?
I think it comes down to it's chess, not checkers. So I think Kyrie had a good thing to deal with that James thing going on. It's gonna be interesting because, like you said, never know how guys feel in the locker room. It's gonna be interesting to see how those guys gonna gel together. But I think it's a chess, not checker game. I'm sorry to say.
All right, so look, there's been numerous reports. Like there's been people saying, hey, they're possibly making that move basically as an insurance policy by getting James Harden so they could possibly move on from Kyrie Irving.
I've heard that too.
Do you think that that's a possibility?
I've heard that. But if I was the Brooklyn Nets, I'd keep all three of them. You got three beasts on the perimeter. Who's gonna stop that? If I was Brooklyn, I would keep all three of them. Because you got Harden. When Harden goes to the bench, Kyrie's running the show. When Kyrie's running the show, you can put Harden on the wing. You got a bucket over here on the right wing anytime you throw him the ball. So you got a triple-headed trouble every time you coming down the court. Yeah. I would not trade any of them if I was running the team. But you make a good point, and I've heard the same thing you've heard, that if Kyrie is not on board and takes another hiatus, hey, Kyrie, you got to play ball now. If you ain't playing ball, we might have to move on. So
all right,
you got to look at it from that aspect as well.
I see this with that too. After losing all those picks, how the Nets going to be defensively? Yeah. I think
I was just about to go there. I was just about to go there.
They're going to run the scoreboard on a lot of teams. They're going to run up that scoreboard with Steve Nash and the assistant coaches that just came from the Rockets. I think they're going to run the scoreboard up. But defensively, I think they're going to be hurting.
That's going to be Phoenix 2.0 then.
Yeah.
Like if we're being honest. Yeah. But, all right, so let me just so we can be for sure. You've been in these NBA locker rooms. You travel with the teams. You've seen all the different types of personality that go up in there, right? Mm-hmm. But before we even get into his professionalism, you brought up something about Kyrie. That guy is one of those different creeds. We've all had those teammates, right? He's a different creed, right? We seen what he did in Cleveland, and most people don't know the real story behind that fallout between him and LeBron. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell it for the folks that don't know, right? The real story behind that fallout. Just watch how the dominoes fall. You had Kyrie Irving, who was being told by LeBron. Now remember, I'm one of the biggest LeBron fans on planet Earth, right? And this is one of those situations where I think he was a little wrong because he kind of went, and did the kind of, little be behind the back snake thing. But he went out there because him and Carmelo and PG, they went on the record and said that we were supposed to go to Cleveland, right? Because LeBron was pushing for that, and they was like, yo, if you could trade Kyrie to get those two, let's make it happen. Well, what ended up happening was, what was it? The GM at the time. He's with New Orleans now. Yeah, it's
David Griffin.
David Griffin. Yeah, so David Griffin was friends and had a nice working relationship with Kyrie. He told Kyrie about how LeBron signed off on getting them traded. So now note, after he said this, watch the domino effect. Once that got said, Dan Gilbert, now this is the same team that just went to 3 straight finals. Yep. The same team. So Dan Gilbert obviously knows how to, not Dan Gilbert, but David Griffin obviously knows how to put together a championship roster. Absolutely. You just went to the finals 3 straight years. When have you ever seen a GM get fired after going to the finals 3 straight years and winning one of them, by the way, right? So he ended up having that conversation with Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert was feeling some type of way because his hands got tied because, he liked the Kyrie as well. Yeah. And so his hands got tied because he had to appease LeBron.
Exactly.
So he ended up getting rid of David Griffin. You see what I'm saying? And now note that 5 days before your draft, when do you ever get rid of your GM who's been to 3 straight finals 5 days before the draft? Make it make sense.
That's a good point.
That's really
make it make sense.
I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point.
But PG and Carmelo are both on the record saying, like, yo, we had already had our discussions, like, yeah, we knew we was about to get ready to go to Cleveland, and then everything just fell out. And then that's when you heard Kyrie was like, taking those subtle shots. He was showed up with you remember Steph Curry and then he had put him behind. Like, remember, Kyrie's a sensitive dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, he's a different type of individual. Remember, he said, look, I'm going to go and get knee surgery. If y'all keep me on this roster, I'm going to have knee surgery. Yep. So this ain't the first time he didn't just up and quit on his squad. Yep. Like, I think if you trade him because of him and KD's relationship, if you were to trade him, I think he'd be that type of dude to be like, I'm retiring. Just to mix the whole trade.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, he that type of dude.
Kyrie is an intellectual, and he's one of those deep thinkers. So when he took a break for, 2 weeks?
Yeah, something like that.
About 2 weeks. Games. A lot of people were like, he just needs to retire or stop playing. I didn't think Kyrie was going to retire. I think he just needed a breather, wanted to get away, do some business things that he's working on and some family stuff. But I think now that he's coming back, I don't think he's going nowhere. I don't think he's going to take another break. If he acts up and Brooklyn is not happy with him behind the scenes, I think they may trade him. That's going to be tough. Because, a lot of whispers and stuff.
Yes.
Just saying, hey, he better play ball and he better,
But that's not his personality.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. He's like you said, he's an intellectual. He's one of those, what they may call an overthinker, right? He'll take something that is simple as 1 + 1 = 2 and say, no, I seen this type of variable, and if we dig a little bit deeper and let's make it happen, right? Like, that's him. Yeah. Like, you watch what he did in Cleveland. He went to Boston. Like, he switched that whole chemistry up, and now he started off this season already saying, we don't need no coach. Between me and KD.
When from what I heard, he co-signed it. He said he wanted the Steve Nash as coach. And then when he got him, he said, we don't need no coach. I was like, what? I thought he wanted Steve Nash.
See,
that's the intellectual.
That's the intellectual. Like, he's doing things. And now, one thing, I want to make sure this don't turn into no Kyrie bashing session. You know what I mean? Because I hear about his philanthropy and stuff, and that gets, and he does it under the radar. He does it. Yeah, he does a lot of good stuff. He don't do it out in the open, where it's like, look at me. He does it behind the scenes. So kudos to that brother for doing that. I'm just talking strictly basketball, and strictly basketball saying, you've been around him. I'm pretty sure you've been seeing him as well. Is that he's one of those dudes, though, that just, I don't know if it's about winning per se. It's more so about how I feel about the team and how I feel that I'm playing and how I feel, everybody is gelling around me. And that's not a winning formula. Because Kyrie won nothing prior to LeBron. Ain't won nothing since.
LeBron came in there and he wanted to mentor Kyrie. Show him how to win. Show him how to get a championship. And if you remember, when they broke up and Kyrie was in Boston, he called LeBron and said, hey, I apologize. I see all the lessons that you were trying to teach me now that I'm in Boston running my team. Man, I wish I had listened a little bit better, and I respect what you were trying to do for me as a young player. So he did grow and understand where some of his faults when he was with LeBron, and hopefully he can grow from this situation in Brooklyn.
Okay, so that brings me to my next thing. Define what a professional is for the viewers. For the people who's going to watch it, define what a professional is, some of the different things that the average fan won't know that happens in an NBA locker room.
Well, the first thing, before you ever get to the locker room, you have to know this is a business. There's no such thing as practice is at 10 o'clock. I'm showing up at 10:45. It will not happen. If practice is at 10, you in the locker room by 9. 9, 10 at the latest. Getting taped, getting stretched, getting loose, making sure you on the court, shooting, getting warmed up. So when coach blows the whistle, practice starts, you there. It is a mindset that you have to have. This is my job. This is my profession. This is my career. You can't make little mistakes that you see some guys make in high school or in college. When you get to that level, they expect you to be on in every aspect of your profession. That doesn't even mean on the court.
Yes.
The basketball court is a completely different animal. This is just getting to that point. No getting in trouble, handling your business as far as if you got interviews or need to be somewhere, you got to go to the doctor. They expect you to conduct yourself like a professional would. They're investing a lot of money into you. Billion-dollar teams, all these NBA teams are billion-dollar teams. They're not bringing you on the team for you to be acting up. And if you're not LeBron or Kyrie or a star player, you're going to be out of there so fast your head going to spin.
People don't realize the turnaround.
Yeah.
The turnaround.
You'll be gone. So you have to conduct yourself as a professional on and off the court, locker room, community, everywhere you go. People are looking at you. And you have to present yourself as a byproduct of that basketball program.
Okay. And see, that's one of the things that, what you're saying about the professionalism. Like I keep trying to preach this to like the younger generation that's coming up, right? Yeah. Or even some of the younger professionals that are playing overseas and everything else. Like I have a lot of scouts, a lot of team owners from these overseas franchises who are asking me about players all the time, right? And they are watching these guys' social media. They're watching what they post. They're watching how they behave. And like you said, it's not even got nothing to do with their basketball skill. This is what they're doing. They're on their social media. Like, I'm not going to put that man business out there, but I just had a team owner that asked me about a player just like 2 weeks ago. Said, hey, we're interested in this player, but we heard X, Y, and Z. And they expect me to shoot it straight. Now, I'm not going to jeopardize my reputation.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? Because they're coming to me to say, all right, what about this? And I had to let them know, like, man, he might be an issue. Like, is he gonna show up to games? Is he gonna be out there running the streets? Is he gonna be out there chasing a bunch of different women? Because like we've had that issue in the past. This is exactly what they're saying. We've had that issue in the past. We don't want it again, right? That's what they're asking. It was for friends, right? So, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. From what I've seen, from what he's posted on social media, so gentlemen, just know I watch your social media as well. And I'm going to give it to him straight because my name means a lot more than what y'all sitting there talking. So, I got to shoot it straight, right? And I got to hold on. So, yeah, man, I want people to understand, like, what you're talking about. Be a professional on and off the court because people are watching you all the time.
I was doing the NBA assistant coaches program with Portsmouth. I coached Portsmouth a couple years ago, and the NBA Top 40. So we were in a meeting room like this, probably a little bigger than this, and we're all sitting around the table, we had to give a scouting report of every player that was at PIT. And then they had lines about what is he like off the court. Is he a good kid? How does he act in the stands? What does his social media look like? NBA teams are investing a lot of money into players, and if they don't think that you are somebody that is going to represent their basketball team in a good way, overseas or NBA, they're not going to take you. They're going to take somebody else that may be as good, maybe not as good, but has a clean history. They ain't acting up. The social media is clean. They're going to take that player over X player.
That makes sense. We've seen it all the time. We've seen it even starts at the high school level, right? Absolutely. We see the most talented kid who couldn't get his grades right, couldn't get his behavior right and everything else, not make the team. And then some other kid that was just clean cut and everything else made the squad. And then the first thing that you hear the talented kid say is, oh, it was politics. Yeah, it was politics. The coach didn't like me. This and the third. We've heard it a million times. You grew up in the hood. You've heard that saying from somebody, right? Oh man, the coach didn't like me. It was politics, man.
I think the biggest thing now is some of these programs, even in college. You know how the college recruiter goes. Me and coach talk Zoom calls with all these college coaches all the time, and that's the big thing. He's talking about how he is as a character, how's his grades, how he's in the school, how he's with his teammate. Is he a good teammate? Those things are important. Like, those things go farther than sometimes basketball, because those relationships goes farther than basketball as well later on down the road. So, like, you know, coach been to mentor me for years, so we have these talks all the time, and it's so huge. So every time he puts me in, I piggyback on that too, well, because it's the right thing, you know, because like at the end of the day, sometimes the old things you do back then comes back and haunt you.
Yes.
But you know, like a lot of people try to get it out. You know, get out the hood, get out to what they were doing before. Sometimes you got to change yourself to be a better person.
No, it makes all the sense in the world. That actually kind of leads me into my next question. You know, you've been a basketball development specialist now for God knows, I've known you for years, and so you've been doing it for a while now. In today's society and with today's players, what do you feel? Are they growing? Have they become? Let me just put it in another word. Do you feel like they're becoming too soft? Can you still coach them hard like we were brought up, or is it? Come on, be honest now. This is the HB podcast, baby. Like, let's give them up.
You were brought up differently.
Yes.
You know, we were coached differently, and I enjoy that. I wouldn't change that for anything. The way we were coached coming up, but it's different now. It's this AAU mentality with a lot of kids, and there's an AAU team on every corner. Whereas when we were growing up, it wasn't that many AAU teams. You just had the best teams.
Yeah, it was the elite
teams,
yes.
You know, in your city.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's so many AAU teams, I couldn't count them all if I tried. So it's watered down. And a lot of these coaches are just putting teams together. And you're like, well, is he qualified to coach? You know, everybody got an AAU team now. So I definitely don't think the coaching and the way coaches are coaching was the same as when me and you came up. Yeah. I think it's definitely watered down and a little softer compared to in the past. Yeah.
Yeah. It just, I got a funny story, right? Because when we talk about that, right? Coach Mike Ingram, love Hall of Fame, LCC, my former coach. Mm-hmm. I remember it like yesterday. I remember the exact day because I had my oldest son that day, November 6, 1998, right? We go to a game out in Wabash. We sitting out there up in Illinois. We go out to the game, you know, and they had a couple studs. We had a couple studs on our team. I had Ron Banks, a McDonald's All-American on the squad. So we thought we were squatted up, ready to roll, right? I remember being in the layup line with my baby wristband on. The referee was like, no, you got to take that off. Because I had him in the morning and had to get on the team bus. You know what I'm saying? And we had to get all the way out to Illinois. So I had him in the morning. I still had it on, whatever. I had to cut it off. Middle of that game, our best player, Niles, got dunked on so hard by another McDonald's All-American from Illinois who had to end up going JUCO because, he had some issues, right? You could tell he wasn't really rap too tight. He probably was a gang member. But they say that's speculative, you know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying? But the brother was looking rough. Y'all know which ones I'm talking about. He banged on our star player so hard to the point where my man's on our team, he tried to just dap him up like, yeah, you got me. One of those type deal. Coach Mike Ingram called a timeout immediately. And you talking about you want to see a coach, like today they would have had him locked up. But you know what I'm saying? Like in today's game they had him locked up. Coach Mike Ingram, this is no exaggeration. That man went out there. Not only did he go out there and choke, he choked that man in the middle of the game where all the fans, I'm talking about, there's a couple thousand people, they booing us and everything. Coach went out there, choked that man like, what the fuck? He really choked him. Man, me and my man AJ Jones, right, from East Lansing, we was sitting there looking, we both looking at each other, right? Because we was about to get ready to go in the game. Yeah. We looking at each other like, oh man, Coach crazy as hell, man, for real. And so we sitting here looking like, we seen the stuff he did at practice. Like, he used to throw basketballs at us, all kinds of stuff. I love you to death, Coach. I'm just telling these old stories. So just so you know, I love you to death. You know what I mean? Because I appreciate the way he coached us up. But, man, like, we thought he was just going to do that in an insulated, environment in which he controlled. Oh, no, Coach, he wasn't about them games. He choked that man out in the middle of an opposing team in a different state. Like, if that was to happen now, what would happen? That coach would have been arrested.
Absolutely. And that happens all the time. It's, everybody's friends when you play against each other. Back then, when we played, you may have been my boy, but I wasn't dapping you up. I was trying to cut your neck during the game. Now, after the game, that's different. Of course. But I didn't have no friends on the court. I would never dap nobody up during the game. So it's just a different mentality, younger generation. And nowadays everybody is cool with everybody.
Yeah.
It's just like you say, I probably represent the younger crowd. Just coaching and be with these guys. It's like kids, I don't know, they just take it too personal. Like you talk to them, you tell them the real, and you be honest with them to help their game, and they take it straight personal. And I also think kids nowadays, I don't understand what hard work really is. They think it's the getting shots up or being a couple of hours. It's a grind. It's a competitive sport. And I think a lot of these kids take it real personal. Like, it's nothing personal, man. I'm just telling you the real to get you better, to improve you, to see how it was when I was playing.
We coach them hard, regardless. We coach hard.
Because I was about to go there.
Well, listen. Hey.
So do you have a lot of turnover because of that?
Not really.
So the kids you get accepted.
They know I have their best interest. Yeah. They know my number one objective is for them to get to college. If my college guys, I'm trying to get them pro. So I'm working with you to get you somewhere. I'm not working with you to take your money. I want you to succeed in life and in basketball. In life and in basketball. So the whole time I'm teaching you life lessons as I'm kicking your butt and making you work your butt off. And guess what? You improving as a basketball player, and then guess what they do? They all come back and they say, "Coach, I appreciate you.
They see the growth.
Thank you for working with me, and thank you for all the things that you've done for me." So that's why I coach him hard. He'll tell you, I do not. I coach him hard.
Oh, no, there's no question. Remember, a few years ago, I brought you out to my middle school. All the kids I cut, I was like, look, as soon as I cut them, I said, go talk to him. Go talk to him. Because it's one of those things where, like I was cutting people, as you've seen, in the middle of trials. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got it. You ain't got it. But see, I didn't want to sit there and but y'all laughing and all that.
That's true, though.
Yeah. But see, but what I'm doing is that I'm not going to waste your time. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And I know what it feels like to sit there and be like, all right, wake up the next morning. Maybe I made the team, or maybe I made the next day of cuts and everything else. No, there's some guys that had no business coming out there in the first place. Yeah. But I don't want to discourage them. Exactly. Right? To say don't keep playing. That's why I bring professional trainers out like yourself and things of that nature. So I would send them directly to right here, get the help you need right here, so that you could try again next year.
That's a good point on every level. Middle school, high school, college, pro. Each year, you can continue to develop. You can continue to get better. All you got to do is get in the gym and work on your weaknesses and work on things that will make you better. Don't just get in the gym wasting your time. Get in the gym and work on things that are going to help you become a better all-around player. And guess what? Next time you step on the court, people will notice that.
Yes.
You want to keep improving every year in all aspects of your game. And then look at your weaknesses, be honest with yourself, have somebody that's being real with you. Hey, what do I need to work on? And then go work on those things. And if you do, I guarantee you, if you're doing the right drills to improve, you'll get better.
Of course. And as Florida's honesty broker, and as I keep trying to tell y'all, is that I'm not going to sit here and play with any kid's emotion, because their emotional stability is very fragile. When you deal with these kids on a regular basis, like, why would I sit there? Because one of the biggest issues that a lot of kids have as far as when it comes to tryouts and cuts are that following day, the embarrassment of not seeing their name on that list, right?
That's more embarrassing than being kicked out.
No, it's not being kicked out, because I bring in professional trainer. I was bringing in Mark Jones, Coach Cardi. I bring in Iron. Like, I bring in these professional guys who work with NBA guys, who are former NBA players themselves, who these kids inspire to be, even though only 0.5% of them will ever make it to that level. You see what I'm saying? We know that to be factual, but they inspired to be a Mark Jones, right? So if they inspire to be a Mark Jones, who better to sit there and tell them, all right, now here's the steps you need to take. They're watching them, right? I had them there for the full tryout. So they get to watch them. They seeing the same thing I'm seeing, that this kid is no way going to make this team. But maybe I can sit there and get him on the right path so he becomes better. So, like, it may be a bit, look, people may disagree with it, but I'm going to shoot it to you straight. Like, if you was a scrub, it's the same way I do the professionals. I don't hear no professional. Well, they do cry from time to time. But they do cry from time to time. But when I'm on that microphone, I shoot it straight. Like, I give these guys who make money. If you scrubbing it, you just got dunked on, or you looking terrible, yet you thought you was the man, I'm going to say it right then and there to your face, so you know what it is. Like, I'm not one of these snakes. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people had these conversations, but they have them behind closed doors. They're in gym settings. They're like, oh, that cat ain't that good, man. That dude, you know what I mean? We do this as hoopers. Hoopers, we do it, right? But I do it directly to you. You see what I'm saying?
I get it to
like,
a man, but to a middle school kid?
No. They're old enough. Middle school kids is old enough.
I mean, I'll be real.
They're old enough.
I mean, I'll be real. I want to see you do this at a professional tryout.
Right? Like, I mean, why wouldn't?
I want to be there for it.
Like, I'm saying, like, what's the difference if we're being honest? Because you have a lot of guys. There's levels to this. Okay, there's levels to all of this. So even at the professional level, we have some guys who are playing in lower level professional leagues, which is basically our YMCA's overseas, right? Like, if we're gonna be honest, let's be all the way honest, right? You're making $1,400, you know what I'm saying, a month, or some of these guys, they're not really making much money, right? And they're playing overseas. Some of these guys don't even receive their paychecks. I know. So like, if we're gonna be honest, let's be honest all the way, right? They're doing it for stature, and I get it, right? I get it. You're doing it for stature to say, I'm playing professional ball, I'm over the water, maybe they're paying for my apartment, they giving me some food, but basically I ain't receiving no money for real, but I can say that I'm playing for overseas professional. And that comes with a certain different type of stature. Like, you come back with your chest out a little bit, right? I get that. I'm not knocking nobody's hustle. You see what I'm saying? Like, I've been there, done that. I've seen all that stuff, right? But there's other guys over there who are making 6 and 7 figures and is doing it for real. And these franchises aren't letting these guys go, right? They're bringing them in every time they need an import or the new season start. They bringing them in, the same guys. Yeah. People have to realize this, and I say this at the middle school level as well, but in the NBA, every single year, there is 60 new hungry dogs coming into the league. So if 60 hungry dogs is coming into the league, that means 60 gotta go. You see that? There's a rotation there, right? You see that rotation? So there's people who get complacent. And once you get complacent, you are gone in the league. And I'm telling you what I know.
There's only, from what my understanding, 5,000 guys in the history that have played in the NBA.
Yes.
5,000. Look at that small number.
Look at that.
And look how many millions of kids, guys all over the world want to get to that level. And you only got 5,000 in the history of the NBA that have ever played in an NBA game. That's crazy.
That's it. You see what I mean? And so I remember, and to go back to that point as far as stature and everything else, but what it is it's the thought process. I remember walking in there for my first day of tryouts with the Magic. And I remember saying that I went in there with a certain kind of complacency that the fact is, I'm one of the few guys who ever can say that they played on an NBA court with NBA guys during practice, doing a mini camp. Like, that's one of few, right? So I'm sitting here like, I was okay with just being with that because now I can go back and tell the community this is what I did. You see what I'm saying? And so there's a certain level of complacency. I didn't even go in there with the right mind frame. Some of these young kids are going in there just to do it as the popular thing. They don't really love the game. And if you don't love the game, for those of us who love the game, we can tell, we can see, we can like, no, you're doing it because your buddy is doing it. You don't love the game. You see what I'm saying? Like that's not, that don't waste either one of our time. I can't teach you to love the game. Either you love it or you don't. You can't teach two things in basketball. You can't teach heart and height. You can't teach those. Either you got them or you don't. You see what I'm saying? And that's something that every coach in America will tell you. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's so important. I really want to touch on that. Either you love it or you don't. A lot of guys play basketball for the status.
Yes.
They play basketball for the girls, social media. It's a different age now. But you can tell guys that truly love the game because it shows. Those are the ones that are always working on their game. Those are the ones that usually excel. So you're not fooling nobody if you don't really love it. You just want to play just for play. That's cool.
That's it.
But you'll be able to tell the guys that love it because those are the ones that are going to reach their goals.
Yeah, and it's one of the things is that people have to understand the passion. I tell my sons this all the time: is that if you are passionate about something, it's not like you're working a day in your life, right? You love what you do. I actually put more effort towards talking about basketball and just being around the game than I ever did actually training the game. I was just a naturally blessed individual who, was freakishly athletic and all these different things, but I never really worked on my craft for real. Like I never did the dribbling drills that you see these kids doing now and all this working on. Like I just played the game because I played the game because the rest of my friends were playing the game. But I love the game and I love talking about it. I love being around it. I love watching it. You see what I'm saying? I absolutely love what I'm doing now. Like, you know what I mean? It is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Watching these guys compete, the ones who truly, truly love the game, who are sharpening their skill, like I found what my calling is. My calling is to sit there and call you out. That's my calling, right? That's my calling. It is to sit there and call you out. But yeah, and speaking of calling you out, we're about to go into this segment called Start, Bench, Cut. So now how this works, gentlemen, is very simple. I'm gonna give you 3 names of outstanding basketball players, right? You're gonna either start them, that means that is the person that's gonna be playing for you right now. You're gonna play him majority of the minutes. There's a guy coming off the bench, you love him too, so he can, when your first guy who's starting needs a breather, that guy's gonna come in. And then, since we've been talking about cutting, there's going to be a guy that you have to cut. Now, these are 3 high-level pros that I'm going to name. We do it on the men's side, we do it on the women's side. I'm going to say these 3 names. You're going to have to decide if you're going to start, you're going to bench, and who you're going to cut. So, I'm going to start off with you, Mark.
Okay.
I got Torian Green from Florida. You know him.
Point guard.
Point guard. He's still putting in work now to this day, right? You know what I mean? I got Darius Washington Jr., and I have Jamon Gordon. All right?
Okay.
So, who are you starting? Who are you going to bench? And who are you going to cut? Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to start Darius Washington.
Okay.
Orlando kid. Was a baller. High school.
This is as they are right now, though.
As they are right now.
Right now.
Okay.
So if you start them, yeah. So if you start them as right now.
Okay, I'm gonna go with. I'm still going with Darius.
Okay.
Darius Washington. And bench. I'm gonna put a little tweak in it.
No, don't you do it. We gotta shoot it straight. Shoot it straight.
I'm gonna tweak it a little
They
bit.
gonna see this, man. I promise.
I'm gonna tweak it a little. I'm benching Torian and Jamon. The reason I say that, I haven't seen them play lately, so I don't want to cut somebody that I haven't seen play. I know they're both elite basketball players,
yes,
guards.
Everybody's elite.
So I don't want to cut somebody that I haven't seen play. So I want to bench them both and I'm gonna start Darius.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. But here on the Ace League, we got to make the tough. We got to make the tough decisions. Like they gonna see it, they still gonna show you love. It happens. You got to make I'm gonna do this as well. Like these are all my guys.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
okay.
So out of those two, who you gonna cut, man?
Oh, I'm gonna have to cut Torian.
You gonna cut Torian? All right,
Yeah.
Coach Cardi, come on, man. What's up? Who you starting? Who you benching? Who you cutting?
I gonna start D-Wash.
Okay.
Seen him play throughout the years at the Water Days, you know.
All right.
So I'm gonna start him. I'm gonna keep Torian.
You gonna keep Torian?
Off the stats of what he did in college stuff. I'm gonna keep Torian.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna bench the.
How are you gonna cut? You gonna cut Jamon?
Jamal. I will cut Jamal.
Oh, interesting. All right. That's an interesting take. So let me make sure I look directly into the camera. So, gentlemen, because you know I'm gonna tag you on this post. Y'all gonna see this. So I'm telling you, you know I respect each and every last one of y'all games. But I call a spade a spade. Okay? I call a spade a spade. So, in my start bench cut, I'm starting Darius Washington Jr. I'm starting him because his basketball IQ is off the chart. Like, I've literally just seen him recently play in a rec league game. And even as not being in the best top shape and things of that nature, like he was abusing those boys. It was just a different level. Like you can, when I say levels to this, there is levels to this, and he definitely showed that. Now Darius, this is off the record, but actually it's on the record because I'm on camera. But there was been a couple top level pros that had reached out to me and they said that you ain't got it no more. But I will talk about that later. All right, I'm gonna go with the bench. I'm gonna go Jamon Gordon. I got to. The brother is nice with it. Like I had to watch some more film on him. I actually seen him in person last year. I went up to the Cuban Hunter Center in Jacksonville and seen him play personally last year. Lefty like myself. I didn't even realize that his birthday is a day after mine. You know what I'm saying? So he's a July baby too. So no, the brother can play. I just try to go up to the spot and try to pull up on another day up in Jacksonville. You know what I mean? He got a nice little spot up there, Deuce training. He does a lot of training, the pros up there and kids and stuff like that. Love the work he's doing, and he still can go. Like he can still go. All three of them can still go.
Okay.
But
I'm cutting Torian. Torian, you know you're my man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I've been looking at your numbers. I've been on there following what you've been doing, and you're still looking consistent. You know what I mean? No question about it. I just don't see you above these other two. So, with that being said, well, let's move on to the ladies. I have Blessing Freeman from Mississippi State, Stephanie Ratcliffe from Louisiana Monroe, and I have Ionia McKenzie from Texas Tech. And so, since y'all may not be familiar with those, are you familiar with them? Oh, so that means you can do it. Out of those three, who are you starting, who are you benching, and who you're going to cut?
Well, I'm starting Stephanie Ratcliffe.
Are you starting Stephanie? Okay.
Yeah, she gonna put the double.
Yeah.
I'm starting Steph.
Steph was solid. She played in the pro-am showcase game. She's solid. Okay.
I would, just because I didn't see the Mississippi State girl and research like that, I'm gonna bench Ayanna and then I'll cut the Mississippi.
All right, and you cut Blessings. Okay.
No offense.
All right.
I just haven't seen it.
So. I wanted to go with the same order you went with. I did. I really did. But what I would say is that Ionia got a little bit more in her bag. Like she could put the ball on the floor a little bit better, right? She got some nice little mid-range pull-up. Where Stephanie is more, like you said, she's going to get you a double-double, but she's more post-based. And so, you know, in today's game, you got to be able to have a little bit more out of your bigs because Ionia plays a typical type of big as well. She's more like a small forward power, you know what I mean? And she's a lefty as well, you know what I mean? So that's also hard to guard. So I'm going to go Ionia to start. I'm going to go Stephanie to bench. And then Blessing Freeman, she was actually supposed to play in the Pro-Am game, but some stuff that came up or whatever last minute. Actually, I think she was told about it last minute. So I reached out to her, talked to her. And so I haven't really seen much of her now, but I also know that she's into coaching now. And she's been into coaching the last few years, and you know how that goes. Once you get into coaching, you're not into training as much. And, you know, sometimes sometimes that's to our detriment, though, right?
Yeah,
because when we don't train like that and we
Yeah.
just train the kids, they act like
we can't still
like,
do it.
like we still can't do it. Like we just,
Oh.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's one of those things where, you know, I got to be kind of conscious of that, you know what I mean? Even when I'm making this assessment. But yeah, I'm going to have to cut.
Stephanie can play now.
Oh no, she
I've
can
seen
play.
Steph.
Oh no,
I've
she
worked
definitely
Stephanie
can
out.
play.
She
Like
can play.
there's really no wrong answer there in between the two.
Yeah.
I'm just going for versatility.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm going. Just for a little bit more versatility. So look, man, I like to appreciate y'all brothers for coming out, man, to the Ace
Thanks
League
for having us,
podcast, man. Is there anything y'all got up and coming, man? Y'all want to share with the people?
This summer, this past summer, we didn't do our camps for the kids, high school, middle school. First year in 15 years, we didn't do it because of COVID. But this upcoming summer, we are going to do our camps this summer. And then obviously we doing our training with all our guys, pro, college, high school.
So how do people get in contact with you? You got Instagram or anything?
Yeah. I have Instagram. I'll give it to you. So
no, you can say it on there. So we'll put this onto the podcast so people can see it. Yeah.
Okay, it's Mark Jones Basketball.
Mark Jones basketball. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, sounds good, man. Man, I appreciate you, Coach Carter, Coach Mark Jones. Good having y'all, gentlemen. Hey, I'd like to thank y'all for sitting there watching the Ace League podcast. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Subscribe, man. Y'all see what we doing. We giving you out here great content. Subscribe. Check us out on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook. And that's that. Peace.